Let's take a look at example 1 in section 5.1. If cosine of theta equals 5/8 and theta is in quadrant 4, find each functional value. We've already solved this type of problem thinking of cosine of theta as x over r. So we could draw a triangle with x being 5 and r being 8 in quadrant 4. Once we draw the triangle, we could solve for y and find any of the other functional values. Now we are going to use a different method using the identities. If we know cosine of theta and need sine of theta, we can use the Pythagorean identity sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. Now we need to plug in cosine theta is 5/8. Now we are able to solve for sine of theta. First we square 5/8. To get sine squared theta by itself, we now need to subtract 25/64 from both sides. To subtract 25/64 from 1, we can write 1 as 64/64 and then subtract. 64 minus 25 is 39, so we get 39/64. Now we have sine squared theta equals 39/64. To get sine theta by itself, we now need to square root both sides. When we square root both sides, we mustn't forget the plus or minus. To find the square root of 39 over 64, we simply find the square root of 39 over the square root of 64 to get the square root of 39 over 8. Since theta is in quadrant 4, the sine value will be negative. Therefore, sine of theta equals negative square root of 39 divided by 8. Now we need to find the tangent of theta. Since we already know cosine and sine, we can use the quotient identity tangent of theta equals sine theta divided by cosine theta. We found sine theta is negative rad 39 divided by 8, and we were told cosine of theta is 5/8. By multiplying the numerator and the denominator by 8, both the denominators cancel. Thus, the tangent of theta is negative rad 39 divided by 5. As a quick check, we can observe that theta is in quadrant 4, and the tangent in quadrant 4 is negative. Part C, secant of negative theta. Using our negative angle identities, we know that secant of negative theta is the same as secant of theta. This follows the same rule as cosine. Since we know cosine of theta is 5/8, we can simply flip it to get the secant of theta is 8/5. Or we can use the reciprocal identity, secant of theta equals 1 over cosine theta. Now plug in cosine of theta is 5/8. When we divide fractions, we can flip the bottom fraction and multiply. Secant of negative theta equals 8/5. D, cosecant of negative theta. Cosecant of negative theta will follow the same rules as sine of negative theta. So cosecant of negative theta will be the same as negative cosecant theta. Since we know sine of theta, we can simply flip sine of theta to get cosecant of theta. So we get negative 8 divided by square root of 39. The two negatives give us positive 8 divided by rad 39. Now we need to rationalize the denominator by multiplying the top and the bottom by rad 39. Thus, the cosecant of negative theta equals 8 rad 39 divided by 39. This concludes example 1 for 5.1.